Hello, my kako, Joe Souza here, actually in our milling department to learn about inlay. This art of telling a story or painting a picture onto the ukulele, whether it's a story of today or a story of the past or the future. We have a wonderful opportunity to really pick the brain of a master inlay artist. His name is Craig Lavin, and he'll be joining us today on The Breakdown. So today we're going to be talking about inlay work, and we have Mr. Craig Lavin, the master of inlay work, who's joining us on our Zoom call. Aloha, how are you,
Aloha,
Craig?
Joe. Aloha.
So good to see you, man. I love all the guitars in the background.
You too. Yeah, these are all actually inlaid. My son was an inspiration for some things, and that's what we got on them.
Epic. Love it, love it, love it. Man, you've been doing inlays forever, and we have always looked up to your work. But really, where did that passion for inlay start for you?
Honestly, the absolute truth is I was looking at guitars. Always been a diver, always been into marine biology, always loved marine life. Had aquariums growing up as a kid. My father gave me my first 10-gallon aquarium when I was 4. I can remember sitting in my bedroom looking at fish like guppies and things and giving them names with my dad, So there's always been a passion for marine life and tropical creatures and things of that nature. And one day, Taylor Guitars, lo and behold, came out with a series called Living Jewels of the Sea.
Ooh.
And they did a koi piece guitar that was blue with koi running up the neck. They did a green sea turtle piece with jellyfish on the back that was quilted maple, that was stunning. And they did gray whales. And that was over 20 years ago. And I remember seeing those because I was playing since I was 13, guitar since I was 13, and thinking, this is absolutely stunning. I've never seen inlay before. Now we have, instruments with sea life on them. And that's the first time I think I've ever seen instruments with sea life. Now that I've done so many instruments with sea life, but that was the inspiration. And I wanted to know how to do that. I wasn't in luthier. I just said I need a guitar with a coral reef on it.
Wow.
And I called up a luthier and said, please make me a guitar with a coral reef on it. And he said, okay, it'll cost this much. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make my own guitar with a coral reef on it. And then once I finished that, I realized there's a reason to cost that much. It's really hard work. But that's the absolute truth. I can make stuff up, but that is the breakdown.
It's classic. Just watching your videos now, as you've really honed your skills and truly you are a master at inlay. And those StewMac videos that you did, that's so cool.
It's an honor that people like you want to have an artist of any kind do work for them. And when you look at the amount of artists in the world that are excellent at what they do, and some get recognized and some don't get recognized, but they're still excellent at what they do, it's just so lucky as an artist to be appreciated by someone and to be picked up and used for the world to see, because it doesn't happen to many people. So it's just humbling. That's just the reality.
Right. And, and with respect to not just, your inlay work, but, the inlay work as a whole, marquetry or scrimshaw that you're like putting those final touches, I would say, onto some of these work pieces it's a skill, like any skill, it takes time to really master. And really you're continuously honing your skills, and it's not like you just jumping on a bike and you go again. You have to keep practicing and keep developing and basically evolve, which in turn is really the essence of what a master really is. If you ask a master, are you a master? Of course, the answer is no. We're never masters.
Yeah, I'm not a master.
Learning.
It's nice that people want to call people that, and it's great and it's fun. But the reality is you're never good enough, and you're always pushing. And something like these platinums where there's so many of the same thing. People say, "Oh, don't you get bored?" And the answer is no. You don't get bored, because you're realizing how to tweak everything when you're forced to do repetitions so much. I mean, yeah, it's in essence, it's your drawing, your cutting. It's about a 9-step process to do this. And every one of those is a separate skill. Drawing is a separate skill. Cutting is a completely different skill than drawing. And then, you know, there's choreographing, there's assembling the whole ideology from the concept to the finished instrument, so that it's not just an art piece. If it's not a beautiful, stunning, incredible sounding instrument first, then I'm just putting icing on the cake, which is basically what it is anyway. But you know, the cake has to taste incredible. If you don't want to eat the cake, you're not going to want the icing. So, and I always refer to inlay as the icing on the cake, but the luthier has to be the baker. You've got to have something that everybody wants to sample before it's beautiful. Then you make it the final touch, and that really goes with any instrument.
Yeah, and you know, that collaboration to say, you know, from that initial concept, you know, here's the idea, like how do we capture in many respects something that is so important, so vital, not just to who we are as Kanileʻa, but more so who we are as a species, as a planet, you know, water. Well, you know, here we are studying the cosmos, and what is the first thing that scientists start looking for? It's water, because water is going to be the reflection of a potential sign of life. And how do we capture this vital water cycle and then put all of that, you know, in Hawaiian, the word is mana'o, or all that knowledge to say onto an instrument and share the story of the importance of water. I mean, the basic essence of water. So, you know, the whole collaboration from the beginning, working with our youngest son, Kahiao, on, hey, this is what we're thinking, you know, this is kind of the idea, what do you think? You know, and from there, those creative juices start to flow. And, you know, as we kind of look back now, especially with, you know, the uniquenesses of the material that was used, to, you know, even some of the challenges that has presented themselves in the fact of logistics and all that kind of stuff, you know, really kind of turning back a little bit on the hands of time. Because I remember when you and Kahiao were first designing, and you know, there was several renderings to say, or drawings, but you know, when you're in that design process and you're drawing, when you're taking pencil to paper and, you know, putting all of those thoughts that you know, we're collaborating on, where in, you know, your artistic design do you start to image what materials you're going to be able to use, or you know, how to really kind of build that puzzle? When does that start?
The minute you get the concept, it's, you know, there's, every artist has a way of going about finalizing in their head, what is it going to look like?
Right.
And it's probably easier for a painter or for someone who can create their colors or can mix things and do that kind of thing. But with inlay, you're stuck with what do you have available? So I have my entire career been hunting materials as a part of this. It's always, you know, finding something new, finding that blue, finding that green, finding that that matches perfectly, finding whatever color is whatever fish, you know, how do I get that purple to look right? Or how do you make people looking at it, because art is magic, it's not real, it's just an image in front of you. How do you get that magic to transfer from pieces of a material like this turquoise? This is a very nice turquoise blue. This is reconstituted stone. This green dyed poplar. It's a very watery look to it. If it was blue, it would look just like water, because the flames of the wood make it look like water. But how do you go through seeing the potential of your material and saying, that's going to be this, that's going to be the water, that's going to be the waterfall? You know, our waterfall is blue. No, they're not blue, they're white. So let's start with that. You know, it's not, it's brown sometimes. Sometimes the flowers are all different colors. If you get really lucky and along comes a project and they say, we need you to make this, you know, this fish or whatever. And you say, oh, I've got blue, I've got purple, you know, and I've got the exact colors. But then you're stuck with, well, you don't have the exact colors, you know, so, well, what can I do that's going to at least be stunning or at least visually pleasing. You know, everyone loves abalone because it's so colorful. I can't stand abalone because it's so colorful. It doesn't look realistic. So I almost never use it. But there are times when it's perfect. There are times for blades of grass. Sometimes you get a zebra stripe in it. Colors is part of the fun. It's part of the passion of doing it. If you're going to go into any art and not, especially inlay, and not say we're going to take these materials and turn them into something, and where does this material match what I'm going for? That's the cool part of it. Drawing, it's awesome, you know, and that's coming up with the overall image. But then you got to take that drawing and paint with solid materials that do not move. They do change. They change sometimes. This an example is this is a material. It's a recon stone. It's called mammoth stone, and it's supposed to look like a mammoth molar they cut through. But it's probably got some of that in it. It's got real material in it, and it's mixed with epoxy, and they form these bricks. And you get these bricks, and then you get these bricks, and they're about twice or more thicker than this.
Wow.
I have to go and take those pieces and shake down all that excess to get a workable slice. And this is even thicker than it's going to be when it's finished. So there's so much prep involved in all and all these different materials. You know, these are all ones that we're using for the platinum. This one, this has to get prepped. This one's kind of neat because it's actually a little bit flexible.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why it is, but it is, and the rest are not. The rest are solid stone and very, 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 very durable. Yeah, there's all kinds of things, and I've got over probably 300 materials at my arsenal now that I've been researching and finding over time, and some of them are natural, and some of them are not natural, and some of them are plastics. And in the end, it doesn't matter what the material is, because the image is what matters. Not, oh, did you make it out of pearl? Oh, did you make it out of kyanite, let's say? Oh, did you make it out of wood? Sometimes people say, I want it all woods. I say, okay, well, we want it all woods. And so we try to make it out of all woods. And then some people say, just please make something as best you can. And that's fun. Then
right. And I guess, you know, as an artist, that in that case, you know, you're building your color palette, you know, and then the textures and beyond color, you know, the you know, kind of reflecting back again on that story that your art is telling, and providing those different textures that you're using from your color palette to say, you know, your materials that you're able to create with is, and I think honestly, it's part of the design process is when you're imagining that particular piece, and you're already going through your little card catalog, right? Of, okay, I have this material, I have this material, I have that stuff that's green or blue, or, you know, whatever image you're trying to like paint in. Once you know, from concept, you know, thought, idea, concept, and you kind of walking us through this process of now actually going and creating the inlay, you know, even when you're done and say that piece is glued in, you're still not done, right? I mean, we see it in your work where you're coming in and you're doing those final touches. That is, to me, bringing the inlay into bringing life to the inlay.
So grab these over here.
Oh, nice.
So basically, my process, everyone's got a different process. The more advanced process, I guess you want to call it. You're drawing it up. You know, well, it's multi-stage. You're coming up with a concept, such as the platinum with the water, and then you're finalizing the design, and then you're saying what materials are going to go. Then you're drawing up the pattern as if it were a jigsaw puzzle, and making multiple copies, and then you are putting piece by piece of paper onto the materials so that they all can be cut with a jeweler saw, which is this, which has a very, very exceptionally thin blade. So you're cutting, and you very, very, very tight blade. You're then cutting your materials, assembling your materials as if it is that jigsaw puzzle. They have to fit very, very tightly, or you'll have gaps, and that's not really attractive. And then you're taking that and inserting that into the wood. You have to route a hole to put it in, putting it in, gluing it in. You're sanding it down to proper radius or thickness, and then you are touching up anything that maybe bubbles or things in the glue that didn't go well, or stuff like that, or colors. Sometimes you're ripping out pieces if a piece sanded through to a different color or a part of the pattern that's unattractive, especially with pearl, black pearl, gold pearl, and white. And you don't really want that. sometimes you want that gold. Or if you're using abalone, especially when you start sanding, unless you have it exactly flush with the surface, unless these things are literally, all the same level exactly, you're sanding off whatever's up top. And with abalone, it changes the color completely as you go through it. So sometimes you take a inlay and flip it over and go up in reverse so that you can flip it back and not have to sand anything off the top. And then I call that a reverse inlay. You're gluing everything face down, and inlaying it face up, and then you're sanding it off so that you're guaranteeing as much as possible nothing's changed.
Right.
It's more complicated. And then after that's all done, if it's got details, you're going in with a graver tool, literally a hand graver. Yeah, and this one is the tips of these tools are different. This one is for gouging out little circles and things.
Okay.
This one is for cutting straight lines, and it's it's more of a knife blade.
Right.
So when you're seeing a face, or that's not all separate pieces, when you're seeing a face, or when you're seeing any kind of black fine lines, hair, sometimes I'll go between the pieces and engrave. So there's a black line, like an animation between them. Anything that's going to bolden the piece. You're seeing that. That's another whole set of hours of literally pushing that graver, taking this graver, and literally graving and scratching that line out.
Wow.
And then filling that with a material to give a different color. And that's a whole separate art. It's a whole separate art. And some people are masters at engraving. I'm not a master engraver at all. I do what I can to make everything look the best it can. But you look at master engraving work, you're talking gun handles, you're talking knife handles, $50,000 knives. These are very, very high end. And the gravers will spend weeks with microscopes doing that art. So it's a skill set. It is. It's a skill set of 5 or 6 different arts in inlay that all come together for one final inlay art. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. The beauty, of course, shows in the work. So now that we're really like in it, we're doing the platinum. 2022 platinum is released. From that original design concept to, those final touches that you're doing, Craig, how long does it really take?
From design, drawing and redrawing, you don't draw once. You're drawing over and over. And then you're finalizing that drawing. You're making at least 7 to 15 copies of a drawing before it's ready to be patterned out. And then you're sizing it. You're getting it so that the lines are all clean. Then you're going and finding your materials. It takes at least 10 to 15 hours per piece. And I'm fast at it. I'm very, very quick. I've been doing this 25 years, nothing else. So I've got it. I have that really nice area now where you can almost do anything you want. There's it's still challenging, but there's no real blockade to what are you going to do to go to this direction. There's no directional cutoff. So given that, it still takes that much time. And if something stands through, you're replacing it. There's nothing. A master is fixing things and knowing how to fix things when they go wrong, because anyone can do things when they go right. So it takes time, and then it takes repeating things sometimes. And it's not a perfect place for any master or not master. It's always hard work, and I think that's what's interesting about it. It's it never gets easier. It really doesn't. You'd think it would, but if you're the kind of builder or the kind of artist that's pushing themselves, it's always getting more complicated. And even just cutting out a logo these days, which people would think, oh, that's so easy for that artist to do that. No, it's not, because you're always wanting it the best it can be, and that adds time. And if it doesn't come out good, you're redoing it again. It's perfection isn't mandatory, but it's a really nice goal. It's a really nice goal.
Exactly. Thinking back, I remember when we did Kāneʻohe Bay, those 3 turtles, or the honus, that you inlaid for us, and we displayed that at NAMM. I think that was NAMM 2019, I think.
You guys really did that beautiful blue stain on the color.
Yeah, it was the showstopper.
Gorgeous piece.
We're so blessed to be able to, have it as a showpiece, and then showcase your art in combination with, our art of luthiery to really tell this story. It was 3 honus. Each of them is a reflection of our 3 sons, and how they're becoming part of our company, and kind of integrating all of that mana'o again, the thought into an instrument, and then telling the story, which ultimately, with that kind of cobalt blue stain on the back and the sides, the maple, and then we had a koa top. And the koa, just because the original start of the shade of koa was from Maui, that Maui koa made the blue cobalt stain more of a green, which was some of the greens that we see right here in Kāneʻohe Bay, right where the turtles like are swimming, and all of that kind of just unveiled itself as we designed and collaborated, and then ultimately was able to display that instrument. Another one that we did that collaboration was kind of on like a vision that I had, or a premonition, and that was the mai na Kūpuna mai, or a callback to our ancestors, calling back for their help, basically. And so you took that thought of, having 3 individuals, and in my dream, to say, or in this
Trinity was part of the dream. Yeah, the individuals. Free.
Right, was the the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, 3 individuals in one va'a, in the canoe, and paddling from Povehi, which is the black hole, coming from the abyss of space, basically answering that call, or coming back to help and save us, as our planet is in peril, to come back from where our ancestors left, which is at Mokoli'i, there in Kualoa, right here in Kāneʻohe Bay, and having that image, to say, being painted through your art, that art of inlay, onto an ukulele, which, it just blew my mind when you sent me the drawing, and then, that whole process of, the materials you're going to use, to, how are we going to capture that premonition, or this dream, into, or putting it onto, an ukulele.
Well, it was your vision. I just had to draw it up.
And you did.
You
An
didn't have the idea,
job.
that wouldn't happen. So
Right. But then, even along the way, there are some other things that we learned, like, there's what in Hawaiian we have what they're called mo'olelo, or this these stories, or these this knowledge base, I guess you could say, that is passed on from generation to generation. And one of those stories, interestingly enough, started, simply as, hey, can you do Maui's hook as a side sound port on an ukulele? And in my mind, I've said, of course, yes. In fact, I already have a Maui's hook drawn, not necessarily for a side sound port, but I had just messed around and drew it, which is called manai kalani, or the hook that Maui uses to, capture the islands. So that concept from, that idea of a side sound port evolved, to say, and that's where I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to tell this mo'olelo, or this story of Maui as a demigod, and how he captured the sun. And so I got this piece. I'm going to try and bring it in, and keep it in focus, and allow to kind of show it. But this is what you did, Craig. You literally captured that image of Maui there as he ensnares the sun, and there's the sun up on the headstock, and even an image of the Ko'olau Mountains, which is the mountains right behind our shop here. And then there's these pukas, or these holes in the mountain, which legend has told that's where his kaula, or the rope that Maui was ensnaring the sun, passed through those pukas. And then, of course, on a full moon evening, and right near the vili vili tree. I mean, everything that is in the mo'olelo, or in the story of Maui capturing the sun. And the reason why he captured the sun was to slow it down, so that the kapa could dry. So his mom said, hey, the days are too short. We need longer days. Capture the sun and slow it down for us, and there's the image.
And that's why the moon is in there. The moon is in that image, because they shouldn't be so close.
Right.
They should be following each other like that. So there's the moon, and there's his sister's hair is the wood that makes up the strands. And that's part of that engraving we just talked about. There's little lines showing the hair wrap in there that you can't really see the detail, but it's all there. And part of the fun of a project like that is, you guys know the history, and I don't. But because we talk about it and discuss it, I go back and research it and put hours of research into it before I even draw it up, because I don't want
Beautiful.
to do it wrong.
Yeah.
We don't want it coming out misinterpreted or the story not be accurate. So there's a lot of
Right.
fun looking at the history and the all the build up process of learning about a culture from that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And Maui and the legends of Maui stem across the Pacific. And there are different variations of basically the same story that has been passed on from generation to generation. But it's not only capturing these, mo'olelo, or these times of past, more so even the now. So this was another project that we worked on, and I'll try to get it into focus here. As kind of a reflection to your love for marine biology. Yeah. So of course, the swordfish there, which is in Hawaiian is ao, and then the flying fish, which are called Mālolo, jumping out and trying to get out of the out of the way of the swordfish.
Clear way.
Right. But painting that picture again onto the ukulele, which then leads to our collaboration in the 2022 Platinum. And I know we touched a little bit of the materials there, but as that process, as we kind of pick up the story of how that process worked, and really how we kind of integrated uniquely technology, as a modern day society. And I shared this a little earlier. If I had my phone in my hand, I could have a better example. But imagine my phone is here, and I say, if you asked me 20 years ago that I would have all of the knowledge of mankind sitting in the palm of my hand, like
It's
crazy. But yeah,
crazy.
but how do we integrate technology into what we do as luthiers, as inlay artists, and then find that marriage or that happy place of how we integrate that technology. So in this case, when we designed and ultimately created the 2022 Platinum, we are making parts here, the neck, the fingerboard, of course, getting them to you literally on the other side of the United States, from the extreme east to west, or west to east, and then, of course, you being able to do your art, being able to share that story and what the water cycle is and the importance of it. And then ultimately the piece coming back to then be integrated onto the ukulele. And with our 2022 Platinum, how we did that collaboration. I have an example here actually, so I'm going to bring it out because this will look familiar. Right? That's
I know that route.
You know it very, very well at this
I know
point, right?
very well.
Yeah, but that's where it starts, and actually creating the pocket here in-house on our CNC machine, which then allows this collaboration to say, because we'll be able to send you that work piece, and you as the inlay master be able to really create that waterfall, all the way to the water drop at the 12th fret. I mean, what a nice touch.
And every water drop is individually drawn and cut. I don't even have a template of a whole bunch of those. Every time I do the water drop, it's a little thing, but it's fun. I draw it and make it fit, just so that there's guaranteed variation between them.
Right. Well, each one is unique. Each one is special. And there's a classic image, I want to say, that that we shared on social media, and it was from you, and you had, I want to say, like 5 fingerboards and maybe 5 headstocks, because the inlay all ties into, I'll show this kind of together so everybody can see, just in case if you haven't seen, this is the whole collaboration of inlay, from the headstock and the reflection of the ko'olaus, which are the mountains right here in Kāneʻohe, and how that waterfall, what's called wailele, as that wailele comes back to the ocean, and back all the way as part of the water cycle. And that evaporation cloud bank that gets built up during the hot days, and as the clouds make their way back to the mountains, which then, of course, that water cycle continues, which, we've all understand, interestingly, here in Hawaii, how important water is, but in a unique way, we were able to put that onto the ukulele. and share that story with the world.
And there's only so much space to do it in.
That's true.
It's you know, it's funny. You look at a well done piece, hopefully a well done piece,
Yeah.
and it gives you more than the image. It gives you the whole ideology, and you can say, oh yes, there's the sky and the clouds and the waterfall, and it's all there in under 12 inches of space, basically.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have framed large areas to do this with, so you have to really take a very long, thin framework
Right.
and design to a stick almost of a neck. And
Right.
how do you fit it all? That's the important thing. And then hopefully when the new owner who loves it opens that case, the message is lost. Hopefully when they show it to people, and every time they open it and they see it again, and honestly, a gorgeous, beautiful instrument, inlay or not, every time you open the case, it should make your heart skip like you met your spouse for the first time. It should really have that impact. And they still do. Every time you look at your favorite instruments, you fall in love again. And every time I look at my favorite instruments, they're hard to get bored of if they're done properly. And that's the beauty of doing these projects. You're giving somebody a wonderful sounding instrument, but you're also giving them that heartbeat every time they open up the case. And it's priceless. You can't put a price on that because it's not given in all areas of life. It's only really given in certain areas, and it takes some time to get that.
Right. And it's funny.
We play, and that message goes.
We have customers who they'll get their platinum or they'll get their instrument, and it's like, I'm afraid to play it. I'm afraid to, and from a builder, and I'm sure as an inlay artist, our goal is for them to be played. We build them to be played. We want that instrument to be played and enjoyed, and of course, passed on from generation to generation. And then that story, or, hey, this is grandpa's ukulele, and he used to play for grandma all the time. And every single time they bring out their instrument, those stories come out, right? Man, I remember Christmas and everybody singing Christmas carols or whatever the memories that come with that instrument, and that instrument really has a life now, and it's bringing so much joy to so many others, who are either singing along or playing, and that's really why we do what we do. At the end of the day, that's right. Is for it to be enjoyed and be played.
And we're so lucky to be the ones making them. You're somebody has this dream or this desire, this vision of owning something that's part of their soul. That's what an instrument is. An instrument is a new vocal cord. It's you being able to say something in a voice you don't have, in a way that's not spoken. And it's that unknown knowledge of I can now communicate in a way that no one else that is not a musician can understand. Everybody loves to hear it, but only a few of us are lucky enough to communicate it. Well, we're lucky enough to give them the voice, or make the voice more beautiful, or do something. So here we are, able to have fun at our day-to-day living, giving them something that hopefully makes them light up in a way that nothing else will. And that's it's always an honor.
That's right in line with what we teach kids. We'll go to schools and do like little workshops. And we'll explain to the children that, hey, not every day in life is butterflies and rainbows. There are days where life is just tough, but you can have your instrument and you can come home, strum your favorite song, learn a new song, play along with, family or friends, and truly nourish your soul and, release all of that stress from the day to ultimately, bring joy in your life. And, as a passion, to be able to bring that to people and to be able to share with them this aloha, this way of how to live, and not necessarily, look at an alternative, because Lord knows there's a bunch of different alternatives out there that can not necessarily be healthy, but music and how it nourishes your soul, you can't put a price on it. It really means, everything. And, funny thing is, we'll have people ask like, okay, you guys build ukuleles all day long. You're strumming ukuleles and doing final setup and doing all that kind of stuff. What do you do when you go home? Play ukulele.
You play ukulele.
The
I play
craziest thing.
guitar in my time off. I'm
Right.
making music if I'm not building music. It's because you love it. It's a passion.
It
All
is.
these
It is.
behind me, they get picked up. They don't live on the wall.
Right. Right. They're played. They're loved. They're enjoyed.
I
And
mean, there's my whole rig right there. I got my amp, my pedals. It's all in my office because I'm
rock
not.
on.
You need to have breaks. You need to have breaks, and in those breaks, you want to make music.
Right, right, right. Oh, I love it. Well, Craig, this has been just a joy. We always, we're like brothers from a different mother. I tell you, every time we talk and we get together.
And it's funny you said that not every day can be rainbows, but literally my whole year has been waterfalls. It's incredible. and it's going to continue to be waterfalls for some time. So I'm living that dream.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm just so happy that we're able to live our dream together. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for being receptive into the concepts and to the ideas. And then, from there, just being an artist. And, we always try in our best way to create all that space that you need to just run with it, because what you do and how you tell these stories of what's so important, that's so near and dear to our heart, that you truly are a master. So mahalo, mahalo nui.
Mahalo to a master luthier, because like I said before, if nobody wants to eat the cake, why put the icing on?
Exactly.
I can go and say how honored I am, and I am to be working with you guys, because you're doing something incredible, and you're not stuck in a way with the ukulele. You're pushing the limits with the ukulele, and not a lot of luthiers are interested in doing that or doing it, and you are constantly doing it. So to be able to grow with a builder and do things that are this unique and yet still give people something that is rooted in tradition. You could have gone and CNC'd it all. You could have, but you didn't, because there is a tradition of doing hand work that is something you don't want to lose. And it's a dream come true every day, because we all have the freedom to say, hey, let's meet and talk about it and come up with something amazing for people, versus, oh, let's go to the office today and be told what we're going to do and not have creativity. So the beauty in that is more than priceless with anything. So I appreciate you all so much, and I can't wait to do more. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, great talking with you, brother. Thank you for, setting time aside and allowing us to share this space and be able to do what we love, and, not live in a box, but live in a world that we've created through our art.
Amen.
Take care, brother.
You too.